Have you ever stumbled upon something so shocking it redefined your view on the world? Imagine spending years of your life on the open road as a truck driver, embracing the freedom of the highways. But what if one routine delivery turned into a descent into darkness? This is not just another trucker tale. This is a story of secrets concealed in plain sight, choices that haunt you, and a world that exists just beneath our everyday lives. Buckle up as we delve into an assignment that not only changed my life, but also exposed the grim realities that many prefer to overlook. Ready to journey with me? Let's hit the road. Life as a truck driver, a journey behind the wheel. For many, being a truck driver conjures images of open highways, freedom, and the rhythmic hum of the engine. But there's an unspoken reality that often lurks beneath that surface, a life marked by isolation, long hours, and unanticipated challenges. Picture this, the sun setting over endless stretches of asphalt, while the driver navigates miles of desolation, carrying not just cargo, but often burdens heavier than the freight they haul. The day begins before dawn, a pre-dawn routine powered by coffee and determination. Connecting the rig and checking the load is part of the ritual. Each truck tells a unique story, and mine carries the residue of all the journeys I've taken. But the truth is, the path isn't always straightforward. There are moments on the road when safety and danger dwell too closely together, when a driver must rely on instincts honed through experience. Fast forward to the call I'll never forget, a seemingly routine transport job that would challenge my understanding of ethics and legality. Truck drivers are the unsung heroes of logistics, yet it's staggering what happens out of sight. As I traversed the highways, I would see the vast world blend into a blur: gas stations, diners, and truck stops, each a pit stop in my endless journey. Yet, in the stillness of those moments, I often felt the weight of the cargo I carried, knowing that the pulse of the nation relied on those of us behind the wheel. And just when you think a driver's life is predictable, the unexpected creeps in dangerous weather, mechanical failures, and even unexpected encounters with others on the road. These intense moments teach resilience and quick thinking, but they also unveil the hidden, darker aspects of the industry. In the heart of it all, life as a truck driver can feel like a paradox. One minute you're delivering essentials that power our daily lives. The next you're caught in situations that expose the underbelly of humanity's more sinister designs. This mind-shifting intrigue into the unseen world of trucking is where my journey really begins, a journey that would haunt me long after the engines had cooled and the wheels stopped turning. The unexpected assignment. It was an ordinary morning when my phone buzzed, breaking the usual stillness. I glanced down to see a number I didn't recognize, but felt drawn to answer. Little did I know, that call would alter the course of my life. The voice on the other end was calm but authoritative, offering me a job that sounded like a fantasy, an incredibly lucrative run from Miami to Los Angeles. The pay? An eye-popping $155,000. But when the name of the client was uttered, I felt a jolt of unease. Diddy. The prospect of driving for a name this big was both thrilling and terrifying. I weighed the financial freedom against my gut feeling, but chose ambition. After all, this kind of money could change lives. As I packed my rig, excitement mingled with dread, forming a gut-wrenching knot deep inside. What was I getting myself into? Ignoring the warning signs, I hit the road, fully aware that the destination might not bring the glory I imagined. As I drove, the usual landmarks of Miami blurred into the background, and I found myself in a trance, wondering what awaited me on this unknown journey. Every mile felt like a countdown, each one dragging me closer to what lay ahead. I had heard stories about the lifestyles of the rich and famous, but I also knew well enough that glitz often conceals darkness. Now I was part of that world, whether I liked it or not. That short drive transitioned from excitement to anxiety, and the heavy weight of the upcoming delivery loomed over me like a dark cloud. With each passing hour, the knot in my stomach tightened, an ominous prelude to what was coming. Would I merely be a driver, or was this job going to lead me into a web far more sinister than I could possibly imagine? The run begins. As I merged onto the highway, leaving behind the shimmering skyline of Miami, an unsettling feeling brewed in the pit of my stomach. The calm palm trees and blue skies began to fade in my rearview mirror, eclipsed by the intensity of what lay ahead. The rhythmic hum of the engine was a familiar comfort, yet today it felt like a harbinger of something far more sinister. Those first few miles were punctuated by an eerie silence, as if the road itself was warning me of the storm brewing just around the bend. Moments turned into hours as I pushed through Florida, the sun slipping away like a shy performer. The night sky rolled in black velvet dotted with an infinite number of stars. I flipped on the radio, hoping to drown out the creeping dread. Yet, all I could think about were the unmarked boxes in my trailer. What could possibly be inside? My thoughts raced, twisting and turning like the road ahead, yet a part of me knew better than to dwell on it too much. Sometimes, it's the unknown that holds the most gravity. As I crossed into Alabama, a flicker of danger caught my eye, lights flashing in the rearview mirror. It was just a casual inspection, the officer's manner friendly enough. But the moment he approached, I was struck by an undeniable tension. He scanned the rig, his eyes lingering on the cargo. "You got your paperwork in order?" he asked, but his expression said he was looking for more than just a signature. Panic gripped me as I handed over the documents, my heart racing. In that moment, I realized the pressure was mounting, and I wasn't just carrying boxes, I was carrying secrets. Once the officer waved me through, I took a deep breath and pushed my speed back up. But now, every vehicle that leaned toward me felt like it was probing my world. Would they see the darkness hidden within my cargo? Would anyone ever know the truth of what I was transporting? Just then, the quiet solitude of the empty stretch of highway was broken by a strange sound, a soft thump coming from the trailer. For a moment, I thought it might be my imagination, but there it was again. My gut twisted into knots. Was something alive inside those boxes? The thought made my skin crawl. The horizon ahead began to blur, and my focus wavered. It was almost like the road was testing me, challenging me to turn back, to abandon the charade, and drive away from the ghostly shadows that threatened to engulf me. But I pressed on, determined to see this through to the end. After all, I had a hefty payday ahead, one that would erase the mounting bills and offer a brief relief from the grind. Little did I know that every mile forward was only pushing me closer to a truth I'd never wanted to discover. And what happened next would shock everyone. As I pulled up to Diddy's mansion, I was struck by its sheer extravagance. The sprawling estate was cloaked in an eerie silence, where the grandeur of the architecture felt more like a fortress than a home. Towering palm trees swayed gently in the evening breeze, but offered no comfort. Instead, they seemed to shadow the secrets harbored within those walls. The gates swung open, and I rolled my rig inside with a sense of foreboding creeping in. Every inch of the property screamed wealth, gold accents, a lavish fountain, and luxury cars lined up like trophies. I parked my truck, feeling like an intruder in a different world, one that blended excess with an unsettling vibe. Before I could gather my thoughts, a team of guards approached. Their expressions were stoic, eyes hard, almost as if they could sense the nervous energy rippling through me. I followed them through a grand entrance, each step echoing through the cold marble halls. This was no ordinary shipment. It felt more like an ominous ritual. As I moved deeper into the mansion, the air grew thick. I caught glimpses of opulent decor, but couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lingered just below the surface. The dim lighting only added to the atmosphere, highlighting the faces of the guards who seemed to scan my every move. It felt less like a delivery and more like being ushered into an unknown realm where secrets were currency. With a weight on my chest, I finally reached the designated unloading area. Boxes stacked high loomed over me like silent witnesses to my impending discoveries. Just then, one of the guards turned to me, his voice low and icy. "Let's get this done quickly. We don't want any complications." The urgency in his tone only heightened my anxiety. Standing there, surrounded by whispers of luxury and danger intertwined, I realized I was stepping into something I wasn't prepared to face, a world where every gleam of gold could hide shadows far darker than I could ever imagine. But none of it prepared me for what was about to unfold next. The haunting cargo. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the Los Angeles skyline, I began the process of unloading the mysterious unmarked boxes from my rig. With each box that hit the pavement, an unsettling sense of foreboding washed over me. I had handled all sorts of cargo over the years, everything from exotic cars to high-end electronics, but nothing could have prepared me for this moment. The air crackled with tension as the mansion's staff supervised the unloading with an intensity one had never experienced before. Their glances were sharp, almost predatory, as if they were guarding secrets far greater than the items we were handling. With my curiosity piqued, I hesitated before peeling open one of the boxes, bracing myself for what I might find inside. What lay before me made my stomach churn. It wasn't flashy or expensive. It was grim and unsettling. There were zip ties, duct tape, and a collection of unsettling photographs depicting individuals in distressing circumstances. It felt as if each item was a piece of a horrifying puzzle, one that, when put together, painted a chilling picture of human suffering. I tried to shake the thoughts from my mind, but the visuals pierced my psyche. What was going on here? Who were these individuals? Feelings of dread gripped me as suspicions began to spin like a tornado in my head. I was merely the messenger, but it felt increasingly sinister, and I found myself wondering just how deep this rabbit hole went. As the boxes continued to pile up, I caught the shadow of a figure lurking nearby, a tall man with a cold expression who watched me intently with calculating eyes. It sent shivers down my spine. I attempted to ignore him, to refocus on the task, but his presence felt more like a warning crafted from pure malice. Was I being watched? Was I, without realizing it, participating in something much larger than I could comprehend? Before I had a chance to ask questions, the foreboding figure approached me, a sly smile creeping onto his lips. "You know," he began, a glint of arrogance in his eyes, "not everyone is cut out for this life. Some choose to turn a blind eye." Panic spread in my chest as I realized he was implying that ignorance could be a form of survival. I could have backed away, could have fled right then and there, but the gravity of the moment kept me rooted in my spot. As the sun dipped lower, illuminating the mansion's walls with a fiery hue, I felt like a pawn in a game far beyond my control, and I couldn't help but think, what would happen if I dared to uncover the truth? Little did I know, what happened next would shock everyone. As I stood there, the warmth of Diddy's mansion faded, replaced by an icy grip of dread. I could feel the questions swirling in my mind. What were they hiding? The air was thick with tension, and curiosity urged me to dig deeper. But it was Reese, Diddy's right-hand man, who broke the silence. "You really want to know what's in those boxes?" he said, his voice low and gravelly. His eyes narrowed, almost a warning. It was clear that stepping out of line had consequences. But something in me pushed back against the fear, urging me on. "I'm just a driver. My job is to deliver," I replied, trying to play it cool, even as my heart raced. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had stumbled onto something sinister. His expression shifted from casual to menacing in an instant. "You don't want this kind of knowledge, believe me. People have disappeared for less, and trust me, you don't want to be the next cautionary tale. Keep your head down and get paid." Those words reverberated within me, sending chills down my spine like sharp ice. The nonchalance masked the horror buried beneath layers of money, fame, and secrecy. While I tried to keep my composure, the reality of what I'd become a part of began to chip away at my bravado. But as I walked away, I couldn't escape the feeling that I was standing at the edge of a precipice, staring into the depths of something profoundly dark. My gut twisted as I confronted the gnawing doubt. What if those boxes held the secret to something far more sinister than any of us were willing to acknowledge? In that moment, I realized that I had to make a choice, ignorance or confrontation. Could I truly turn my back on this? And what would be the cost of finding out? The walls of that mansion felt like they were closing in, and with every step I took toward the exit, I knew deep down that my connection to this world was about to change forever. The underground prison. As I was ushered through the mansion, a sense of dread settled in. The luxurious surroundings felt all too surreal, like a facade hiding something sinister underneath. I was led down a dimly lit staircase, my heart pounding with every step. The air grew colder and heavy, laden with secrets that begged to be uncovered. When the door to the underground facility swung open, I was hit with a suffocating wave of despair. The stark contrast between the opulence above and the stark reality below was staggering. Flickering fluorescent lights cast unsettling shadows across the walls, revealing what looked like a hidden world, the kind you only hear about in dark, hushed conversations before bedtime. Rows of locked doors lined the corridor, each echoing the distant sound of muffled voices and sorrowful cries. It was in that chilling atmosphere that the truth slammed into me like a freight train. This was no mere storage area for contraband. What lay before me was a shocking human trafficking hub where lives were held captive, a dark underbelly that thrived on exploitation and despair. I remember the look in their eyes, flickering hope mixed with deep-rooted fear, resonating with unspoken trauma. As I moved deeper into the facility, the weight of the situation pressed heavily on my chest. Glimpses of loneliness and lost freedom haunted those dimly lit hallways. Behind each door was a story, a life interrupted, a journey shattered. My heart ached with guilt. I had unwittingly become a cog in this unforgiving machine. Suddenly, a guard approached me, eyes cold and piercing. He glanced at me, silently warning me to keep my distance from what was unfolding. I felt as if I were standing on the edge of an abyss, witnessing something that was not meant for my eyes. The fear of discovery gripped me, and instinctively, I wanted to turn and run. But how could I flee from a reality so grotesque? I quickly shifted my focus, trying to suppress the rising tide of dread. With every passing moment, the urgency to protect those vulnerable souls grew stronger. I learned to keep my mouth shut while my mind raced. It was a survival strategy. But as the unsettling reality settled in, I knew I couldn't walk away unscathed. For every mile I drove away from that place, the faces of those trapped lingered behind my eyelids. Those became my silent motivators to break the chains of this horror, but fear held me back. And amid my turmoil, I could only ask myself, could I truly escape the impact of this underground prison? Or was it forever etched into the very essence of who I was? Sure. Here's how we can expand on the choice of silence section while keeping that engaging tone and flow. The choice of silence. As the tires rolled against the pavement, a storm of thoughts raged within me. The realization that I had unwittingly participated in something monstrous consumed me. The adrenaline from the shocking revelations began to fade, leaving behind a gnawing guilt that echoed in my mind. Should I speak up? Should I alert the authorities? Yet, lurking in the back of my mind was a chilling voice warning me about the dangers of exposing such powerful figures. The fear was almost palpable. Danger could strike back at any moment. In the days that followed, I felt like a ghost haunting the highways. I was still the same truck driver, but every delivery brought a new wave of anxiety. I started to notice strange vehicles following me, their blacked-out windows hiding unrecognizable faces. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched, monitored, as if anyone could sense that I held a dark secret. Choosing silence felt like my only escape, but with every mile, the burden of unspoken truths became heavier. Friends began to notice my change in demeanor. I was more withdrawn, my laughter replaced with silence. They asked what was wrong, but how could I explain? The weight of human lives entangled in a sinister operation felt too immense to share. My conscience battled my instinct for self-preservation, and I often wondered, was staying quiet the right choice, or was I just as guilty as those I feared? Yet, the nagging thought of those trapped souls wouldn't let me rest. I replayed their vacant stares in my mind, over and over, each recollection a piercing reminder of the complicity I felt. In quiet moments, I envisioned the world outside, a vibrant sunlight illuminating the hidden darkness, waiting to be uncovered. I knew that if I didn't find a way to speak out, I would remain shackled by my silence. But then, whispers of scandals began circulating in the media. Hushed rumors about connections to trafficking surfaced, initially brushed aside by the mainstream narratives. It was terrifying to watch, as if the shadows were creeping closer, merging reality with my own haunting past. Every headline felt like a personal attack, forcing me to confront the memories I desperately sought to forget. In this swirling chaos, I finally realized my silence had become a cage. To take a stand against the wrongs I witnessed was terrifying but necessary. Perhaps it was time to reclaim my freedom by breaking that silence. The choice to finally speak up would either save me or plunge me deeper into the abyss. That was a risk I had to be willing to take. By expanding on the emotions and internal conflict in The Choice of Silence, we invite viewers into the complexities of the narrator's dilemma, enhancing viewer engagement and clarity. The return to darkness. Even after I tried to put distance between myself and my actions, the images of what I witnessed haunted my thoughts around every corner. Driving late into the night, the highway lights flickered like distant stars, but all I could see were the faces of those I left behind. They haunted my dreams, filled with silent screams and hollow eyes that spoke volumes. The further I went, the more I thought I could escape the darkness. But it wasn't just the memories. Whispers began to circulate in the trucking community. Rumors floated about Diddy, the lavish lifestyle and shadowy dealings, wrapped in layers of celebrity glamour. I heard stories of others who had unknowingly become involved, just like I had. Sharing drinks at truck stops with fellow drivers became a nightly ritual, but even camaraderie couldn't drown out the gnawing guilt inside me. I came face to face with a chilling reality. The very industry I trusted was entangled in something far more sinister. I noticed suspicious vehicles lurking near loading docks, drivers exchanging nervous glances. The fear was palpable, and soon enough, it spread like wildfire. It wasn't long before headlines broke out, confirming everyone's worst fears, trafficking cases linked to high-profile names, including Diddy. At that moment, I felt a sickening dread. Could I have done something more? Did I miss the signs? In my heart, I knew I was now part of a much larger story, one woven into the fabric of human suffering. Each mile I drove felt heavier as I grappled with the choices I had made. But this time, I was determined to seek the truth. I dove into the underbelly of the industry, piecing together fragments of what was happening. What I found was a tangled network of exploitation fueled by greed, hidden under the guise of success and wealth. The more I dug, the more I realized that this shadowy world had ensnared countless lives, and my past involvement wasn't just something I could brush aside. As I found myself drawn deeper into the darkness, I had to confront an uncomfortable reality. Sometimes, it takes the bitter weight of guilt to find the courage to expose the truth. The road ahead was uncertain, but I wasn't going to let their stories go unheard. The return to darkness was not just about what I had seen. It was about what I could still do to shed light on the shadows and give a voice to those who had been silenced. My journey might have started with a simple assignment in the trucking industry, but it evolved into a mission, a commitment to unmask the hidden horrors and expose the truth behind the glossy facade. No longer just a driver, I became an advocate for change. And even though the darkness beckoned, I forged ahead, fueled by the conviction that together, we could bring those shadows into the light. In conclusion, the world of trucking may seem straightforward, but the shadows lurking behind closed doors can lead to terrifying revelations. This journey has shown that not every delivery is what it appears to be, and there are layers of deception that can trap the unsuspecting. My experience has left me with scars that won't easily heal, reminding me of the importance of vigilance and the uncomfortable truths that many choose to ignore. It's a powerful reminder that there are consequences for our choices, and at times, that discomfort can be a safeguard against a far greater evil. If you're ever faced with a situation that feels off, don't brush it aside. Your intuition might just save you from stepping into a nightmare. So, stay alert, question everything, and remember that the path we choose often defines us in ways we could never predict. Always think twice, because your next ride could lead you down an unexpected, maybe even dangerous road.